Well, today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the federal public safety minister will be on the West Coast for an announcement that addresses gun violence. With more on that, we're joined live this morning by Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino. Thanks so much for making time, Minister.
Good morning.
So let's start with those new steps the government is taking to address gun violence. Tell us more.
Well, today is an historic day because we're going to be bringing into force a national handgun freeze, which means going forward it will be illegal to buy, sell, transfer, import, or export handguns, save and except for a few tailored exceptions where necessary. Why is this important? Because gun violence has been on the rise, and specifically handgun violence has been on the rise with 45 to 55,000 new registrations on average per year, and it has now become the #1 type of gun used in homicides. So today is about doing right by all of the victims and the survivors who've been impacted by gun violence, and I've met them, and I was just at a funeral yesterday with 2 fallen police officers in South Simcoe. We're grieving with those families and those communities, and today we're taking another decisive step towards eradicating gun violence once and for all.
Minister, can you talk about the timing of this new measure? Why now? And how much of an impact do you think this will have?
Well, today is the day in which we're bringing the changes to the regulations under the Firearms Act into force. We tabled that last spring, and this is as pretty much as fast as we could get them into force. But I also want to emphasize that it's part of a broad, comprehensive plan around gun violence. It means introducing smart, sensible laws like C-21, which is being debated by Parliament, which will also raise maximum sentences against hardened gun traffickers, which will introduce red flag laws to hopefully reverse the trend between domestic violence and the presence of guns. It's part of the work we're doing at the border, investing over $320 million since last year to stop illegal smuggling at the border. And finally, it's part of a plan to stop gun crime from occurring in the first place by partnering with local communities through the Building Safer Communities Fund. So lots of work to be done, but we have to do it. We owe it to the victims and the families. And again, I'm meeting with them far too often at funerals, at memorial services, in communities across the country. We cannot accept the status quo. And today is another concrete step forward around eradicating gun violence once and for all.
Minister, we know that the majority of guns used in violent crimes seem to be these illegal guns that are brought over the border here in Canada. So how will the government stop those weapons from getting into the country in the first place?
Well, we'll stop more illegal gun trafficking by giving them additional resources, which is precisely what we're doing by giving CBSA, who are our law enforcement at the border, additional tools, new technologies to detect and to intercept illegal gun trafficking at the border. And in fact, last year was a record year where we seized a record number of illegal guns, and there's far more work to be done. We're also working very closely with our American counterparts at the Department of Homeland Security to share intelligence, to share technology where we can, so we can bust up those illegal gun trafficking networks. And this is, again, part of a broader plan to not only stop gun crime from coming into the country at the border, but domestically with additional tools for law enforcement and the prevention strategy through the Building Safer Communities Fund, which we're accelerating across the country.
Okay, Minister Marco Mendicino, thanks so much for your time this morning. We appreciate this.
Thank you very much for having me.